I'm watching my clock intensely. I'm trying to will it to go just a little faster.
And I'm going to mute everybody when we start the pledge so that we don't get the jumble. We are ready. Okay, and we're on.
Okay. Hang on, I lost my passcode. I've lost everybody here, but I'll start video. Let's do it again. Okay, I hereby call the special meeting for the city of Buellton for May 21st to order. If I could get our city manager to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Thank you very much. Linda, roll call.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Here.
Councilmember King.
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Here.
Vice Mayor Mercado.
Here.
And Mayor Sierra.
Here. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. Do we have any public comments for this special meeting tonight?
No, ma'am.
Easy enough. On to our one business item, resolution number 20-17, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, authorizing the city manager to work with the County of Santa Barbara, the County Sheriff's Department, and the County Fire Department to ease restrictions on businesses reopening from COVID-19 related restriction. Mr. Wolf.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. As you're quite aware, the state has been in a condition of lockdown, for lack of a better term, due to the COVID-19 situation. Businesses have been severely limited in their ability to operate. The state, however, as of last night, has authorized Santa Barbara County to move into what they're referring to as late stage 2 or stage 2B of the governor's resiliency roadmap, which would allow for the reopening of a larger category of businesses to include dine-in restaurants and retail businesses. The reopening of these businesses, though, does come with some restrictions, particularly with regard to social distancing, and that would by necessity limit the capacity of some of these businesses to operate, particularly restaurants. Given the 6-foot social distancing requirements, may severely limit smaller restaurants, and it may not be economically viable for them to even open. In order to accommodate the reopening and to allow more of the businesses to open up and regain their footing, it is for some jurisdictions, they are looking at allowing restaurants to move their seating and retail businesses as well, to move portions of their business which would normally be conducted indoors to outdoor locations to include their parking areas or in some instances sidewalks and streets. In order to do that, however, we need special action on the part of the City Council. The municipal code prohibits that type of an activity. Rather than have to move back to the City Council every time a request comes in, staff is suggesting that the City Council adopt the resolution that accompanies this report, in essence allowing the city staff working with the county, particularly the Public Health Department, the Fire Department, the Sheriff's Department, and any other agencies that would have an involvement in a given business to allow the temporary deviation from the various codes and regulations which would restrict these businesses from operating outside of their normal footprint. The authorization given to city staff through the city manager would be temporary in nature. It would end at such time as the health orders are lifted or at such time as the City Council deems it's no longer necessary. Staff would be giving the City Council periodic updates as to the types of allowances that have been made. We will be receiving requests through the county's website as businesses start to reopen for those businesses wishing to do just that. We will then address those requests as they come in. I'll leave it at that. It's a little more complicated than it sounds. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer it for you. But I think at this point, hopefully you'll understand what we're looking for. And the intent of this is simply to allow our businesses to get back on a positive footing as quickly as possible, and to remove some of the red tape that would otherwise be involved in allowing them to operate.
Great idea.
I'm sorry, Mayor, you're muted.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the city manager? I've got a couple, but does anybody, Councilmember Andrusik, any questions regarding
No,
this?
ma'am. No question.
Councilman Sanchez, any questions?
No, I'm happy.
Okay. Councilmember King?
No, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Mercado?
Just one for Scott. Have you had any requests yet to open up what you're talking about yet from any of the restaurants or businesses?
We've had a couple of calls come in today from one restaurant and one other business. They are not quite ready to reopen yet. They have to go through the process that the Public Health Department has established for attesting their readiness. That's a relatively short process. I suspect we will have businesses lined up tomorrow ready to reopen. And if some of those need that extra space outside of their facility, they'll come and talk to us, and we'll be, assuming the City Council agrees here, we'll be expediting the processing of those requests. They should take a day or less in all instances.
Okay, good. That's fine.
I had one question.
Councilmember Sanchez, yeah.
They, was one of restrictions on the wineries opening for tasting? There was I heard something on the news, like the wineries couldn't open unless they were selling food or something like that.
There is a restriction on that. However, there's a workaround for those wineries that have a relationship, even if it's a very informal and temporary relationship with a restaurant or caterer or some other entity that can provide food service for them. They will be able to reopen, but they do need to have that food service operating in conjunction with their operation, at least in close proximity. And the debate that's going on right now is, what does that term mean? And it could mean in the same premises. It could mean within a block. It could mean within a 10-minute drive. We're not really sure, but we're going to try and be as flexible as possible with our businesses. We want them all to open up as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
Okay, I had one question. We're talking about expanding sidewalks, parking lots, streets. I'm not sure that works in Buellton, but the sidewalks and the parking lots, do we need to come up with an ordinance for that, a special temporary ordinance, or we don't need to do that with your communication with Sheriff, Fire, and the county?
Yeah,
we're okay?
This resolution should allow us to deal with that on a temporary basis. It's in essence allowing deviations from the prohibitions on that right now. If we need to move forward with something more permanent or that deviates, I guess, too much, maybe the city attorney wants to weigh in, but we would return to the city council with another instrument.
Right. The way that this was drafted was to allow Scott short-term powers to work with those other entities. We're not going to close something that fire says needs to stay open. We're not going to do anything that's going to violate the health code. But as those other entities are being flexible, we wanted to give Scott that same flexibility to allow the businesses to get open. If a restaurant needs to go into part of a parking lot and rope it off in order to add enough tables, then for the time being, we're going to cut their parking requirement and close part of that parking lot to get them in there. If it begins to be a problem, then Scott can begin to enforce again. This is all very permissive. We're not requiring him to do anything. We're allowing it when it makes sense for the city and when it makes sense to get our businesses open. And you'll see that this expires when either the social distancing restrictions are lifted, or if the social distancing restrictions of some distance become permanent, then this right goes away. Because if 6 months down the line, the state or the county says that the new normal is something that the fire chief used to say could seat 50, now can only seat 40, then we're going to have to go away from this, and they're just going to have to deal with 40 inside the building. But this is an interim or a temporary solution, as Scott said, to help those businesses get open in a way that makes financial sense for them while still meeting all the county and state requirements.
All righty. Thank you very much. You know, we've been lucky in Buellton because a lot of our businesses are considered essential. So, you know, besides the breweries, the wineries, we've been pretty fortunate with a lot of our other businesses. If there are no other questions, I'm going to open it up to the public. Linda, do we have any public comment to any of this?
No, ma'am.
All righty. Bringing it back to council for discussion and action, perhaps, gentlemen?
Madam Mayor, I'd make a motion to accept resolution number 20-17 as stated.
And
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Linda?
Vice Mayor Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember King. Councilmember King. Dave, are you there?
He's around. He's not muted.
No, he's not.
Councilmember King?
Councilmember King! Sorry.
Well, he's not.
Okay, good.
I'll second it.
Oh, but here he comes.
Councilmember King.
City manager, you need to send out a letter on etiquette.
Second. I got knocked off for some reason. Second.
Okay.
Yeah,
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you very much. We got to get our businesses back in action again, even if it's a little slowly and a little smaller. I know that they would all appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you all for the special meeting. If there's nothing else, we adjourn until next week, Thursday, May 28th at 6 o'clock for our regular city meeting. Got the gap.
Congrats.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye, guys. Leave meeting.
Bye.